Hi guys, Squirrel here, and welcome to another episode of Trucking Diaries. I've driven to the other side of town. We're in Innsbruck. If you remember, we dropped off some stuff in Innsbruck. I've driven to the other side of town, and we are about to pick up our trailer, if I can work out what it is. We're obviously at the lumber mill, so we're going to basically get some... was it logs we're getting from here? Yes, logs. We're going to take logs from here. So, we're going to head down through... We're going to head out of Austria, and we're going to head down towards... Oops, 1 second. Italy today, I think. Can't remember we're in Italy. But it's going to be an overnight haul. Something tells... This happened last time. Something tells me this RGL Scania is not working properly in 135. Look at that. That's interesting. Okay, let's do it the old-fashioned way. There we go. Yeah, looks like this truck ain't working properly, 135. I'm pretty certain I've got the Steam version of it, Steam Workshop version. Which means if there was a more up-to-date version, it should have already patched it. I'm going to have to look at that. Funnily enough, I was starting to think about whether we should upgrade our truck to a next-gen Scania, but, you know, being all sensible and business-minded, I was like, no, let's pay off the bill first, let's pay off the loan before we start splashing out on new trucks and that kind of thing. I may have to turn off the advanced trailer option, maybe that'll fix it, which will be a little bit of a pain, but we can do that. Unless I go hunting for an up-to-date RGL Scania. But yeah. That happened on the last journey, if you remember, and now at least I know it's definitely the truck, it's not the trailer. Which it sometimes can be. I'm surprised about that, because I don't think they've changed anything regarding the way trucks and trailers hook up in 135, so I'm kind of wondering why that happened. It can't really be a DirectX 11 thing. I am running DirectX 11, by the way. Which is an experimental thing. When you start your truck, you can choose... Let's get into gear. When you start your truck now, you've got the normal option, and then you've got DirectX 11, which is... currently the game's on DirectX 9, and DirectX 11 is the... basically moving Euro truck and American truck forward into the DirectX 11 APIs, because DirectX 9 supports, I think it's already been phased out, or certainly if not, it's imminently being phased out by Microsoft. And quite frankly, you know, DirectX 9 is so old that, you know, they've needed to go up to like 11 for a long time. And strictly speaking, they could go to 12. But I think, what are the implications of going to 12? I'm trying to remember. Instead of going to 11. Maybe they're going to stepstone up to 12, but there are some... Oh yeah, that's it. I think 12 doesn't work on Windows 7? Something like that. Possibly even Windows 8, I can't remember. 12 is the modern version, but, you know, given a player base, I'm sure a lot of players are still on Windows 7. I think if they went to 12, that would stop them playing this game, which is obviously not desirable. So I think that's why they've gone to 11, but 11 should certainly... I mean, it's getting better and better as they patch it out, but I've seen issues with 11. And they're not like serious issues, but weird graphical glitches. It does depend on mods being up to date, so, you know, if you run the stock game with no mods whatsoever and go to DirectX 11, you'll probably be okay. Probably. It is experimental, so it does depend on your PC setup as well. But, you know, I've only ever seen glitches on like some mods where, like for example, Rustmap mod. I drove around Rustmap, and I did notice a couple of places where I drive along like this, and all of a sudden you get like some polygons being drawn right through your truck into the horizon, like weird stuff like that. And I think that's down to the rust map just not being properly corrected. And one of my theories I have as to why Pro Mods, I mean 135 has been out a few weeks, and one of my theories as to why Pro Mods is not yet released is I reckon and I am guessing, I reckon they're giving it a lot of thorough testing around DirectX 11 support, because if they release it and then it doesn't work on DirectX 11 for a lot of people, or you see a lot of problems, they're going to have to carry on and go and do it all over again. So why not just get it right the first time and make it 135 and DirectX 11 compatible? That's my theory, but I just don't know how true that is. But anyway, I was looking at upgrading the truck if we went down that direction. So I went into the Scania truck configurator, and if we bought a next-gen Scania, the minimum basic thing that you can get, because a lot of options are way beyond our level, quite frankly, but just the minimum spec, and then upgrade the engine to I think it goes from like a 350 brake to, I'm just going to put the main beams on. I don't care about the AI, but I'd like you to be able to see something, because it's just too dark otherwise. So I'm doing it for you. Yeah, the minimum spec Scania with the next engine down, which takes it from like a 350 or a 360 to a 410, so it just gives it a little bit more oomph. And changing the 12-speed transmission to a 12-speed with a retarder, which would then let us properly cruise control. Certainly when you go down hills, like the retarder stops it from picking up speed. So just some creature comforts really, a little bit more power, and the retarder would just be a nice basic truck to go with. If we trade this in for that truck, 58,000 euros. At which point I started to cry. Not really, but I looked at how much money I had. I got 55,000. And like I say, my kind of business head is saying, no, that's not the smart thing to do. The smart thing to do is to try and get these loans paid off. Not go around upgrading your truck, which you don't need right now. But, I just want a next-gen Scania, quite frankly. As much as I like this Scania 4, the underpowered engine is just starting to grind. I mean, we could try going to the... Hang on, slow down. Could try going... Why is it 80 in here? That's really weird. We could try going down to the mechanic. Please be an auto toll. Please. We could try going to the mechanic and seeing how much it would be to upgrade this engine. Like, possibly it's a much cheaper option, which will keep us going. So we could do that if there's a mechanic. What was that guy doing? If there's a mechanic at the town that we're going to, we could quickly have a look at what that option would be. I mean, if it's like, 10 grand and it gets us over 400 horses, then it might be worth it. But I'm kind of reluctant to spend money on this if I'm not going to keep it, and I don't think I am. I think longer term I'd like to go next-gen Scania. Just because it's significantly more comfortable, better powertrain. It's just an all-round better truck, let's face it. Although I do like the dash on the Scania 4, I will say that. I do like the dash. The old Scanias and like the old DAFs, like some of the layouts of the old trucks, I mean, even on American trucks, if you go to like some of the old Kenworths, for example, the K100's got a nice interior. I think the W800, I think it is. I think that's the one that's got a lovely... There's a mod, I remember, that has a choice when you configure the truck, whether you go old or new. And it's the same for the outside as well as the inside. And the inside is so much better on the old truck config. It has these wonderful like steam gauges, like analog gauges for everything, for the engine pressure and oil pressure and stuff. It's just magnificent. And I know everything's digital now, but there's just something really special. Oh man, the wipers aren't working. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm pressing buttons here and the wipers are not working. This is not good. This truck is not working too well in 135. Oh dear. And it's a heavy storm as well. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to follow this trailer and hope he doesn't break Jackers. We'll get a respite from the rain as we go in the tunnel. Oh man. Alright, so yeah, this mod is just not working too well on 135, which is making me want to get rid of it, but I shall try to find an updated version of it first. But I swore I had the RGL stuff in the workshop. We'll see. We'll see. I'll check it out. Oops. Nope, 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 don't rip the gearbox, Paul. Come on, there we go. My head just momentarily went herp derp, and I flicked the range switch down, the split switch down. Yeah, let's get behind this truck. It'll be easier to just follow something, I think. I absolutely wish they'd put, I know this truck wouldn't have it anyway, but I absolutely wish they would put adaptive cruise control onto the modern trucks like the next gen Scania. And then you could just, cruise control lock it at, say, in this case 75 or something, and then if you come up to any vehicles in front of you, like this one that's not doing 75, it would just adapt and slow you down. And that would make driving so much easier. Not that I have that on my car. Like, my car has cruise control. In fact, a lot of cars have cruise control these days, but my car doesn't have adaptive cruise control, which is definitely one of life's luxuries, particularly if you do a lot of motorway cruising, which, as a trucker, let's face it, especially if you're doing long haul, you are living on motorways. Like, a large percentage of your life is living on a motorway. So adaptive cruise control will be genius. Of course, I'm sure when Tesla brings its truck out, which I can't wait for. I mean, I don't mean that in a cynical way. I can't wait for it because the Tesla truck is just the sheer idea of it, and the promises that are being made, and the speculation, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The cynical nature of everybody saying, a battery-powered truck. Like, I hear you having a laugh. Like, you can't get enough power. You can't. The battery life. Blah 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 blah. It's just not there. I will be very, very interested to see what Tesla actually end up making. Elon Musk just has this weird ability to pull things out the bag. When people say you can't do that, don't be crazy, he goes ahead and does it. He does. I mean, I know he messes up, but he actually embraces failure, which is fantastic. Like, if it goes wrong, it's like, okay, well, we'll learn from that and we'll try and do it better. And it's just brilliant, but it doesn't stop him. So I'm very interested to see what the Tesla truck comes out like. I think they're saying it's going to be probably a short haul kind of truck, short range truck. Really, he's not going for the long range, because I think he knows right now that that's probably not feasible. But with more and more cities around the world starting to sort of ban diesel vehicles, or at least tax them quite heavily, a zero-emission electric truck for deliveries is actually on the money. I was listening to a radio program, BBC. Was it BBC? I don't know. It was LBC. I think it was in London radio station, and they were talking about emissions and diesel vehicles in London and all this kind of thing. And this guy phoned in, and he was a truck driver, and he said, it makes me laugh how they are going on about low pollution vehicles in London. He said, let me tell you something. He said, did you know that Transport for London basically have a 7 till 7 policy? So he said, we're not allowed to deliver goods into the inner city after 7 p.m. and before 7 a.m. because of the noise. He said, if we take our trucks and come into London when it's nice and quiet, for example, 11 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, that kind of thing, he said the roads are quiet. He said we can get our deliveries done, but we're not allowed to, because if we do, we'll be waking up the residents. He said, so you've kind of got this problem that then what happens is all the trucks basically sit on the outskirts of London, like where the low noise barrier is, if you like. They sit right there and wait for the clock to hit 7 a.m. He said, and there's a huge amounts of these vehicles, like a big amount of them just sat on the roads coming in to London on these border points, just sat there, not doing anything, and at 7 a.m. they all start their engines, and then they all try to drive in, and they all clutter they just gridlock the whole thing. He said it's just absolutely stupid. Said, so The problem is with like these low emissions and that kind of thing is that at odds with, you know, noise abatement procedures, because you can't have it both ways. He said we could get more vehicles off the road by bringing the trucks in at night, and only at night. He said, but then, you know, you can't really do much about the fact that, well, trucks are a bit noisy and they're going to wake people up. And ultimately, if you think about it, the solution lies in what Tesla are doing, like the all-electric truck, because that way they could come in. Hang on, slow down. They could come in at night because they're electric, they're nice and quiet. They're not going to pollute the atmosphere because there's zero emissions, and they can get the deliveries done. And that is what Tesla are aiming for. They're aiming for that market, to kind of take it from the distribution centre, you know, outside of London, take it from the distribution centre and bring it in to inner London, where things like diesels are getting banned, and, you know, we don't want noise, we don't want air pollution and all that kind of thing. And therefore he is solving a problem that's in the development of happening, if you like. Like, it's a problem now, and he's making a solution for it. And I also read some article about his battery technology and how, like, each generation of Tesla basically has better and better battery technologies that's way in, you know, it's in the lead compared to the competitors. And he's moving to some new technology which has got even better, you know, oops, not paying attention, yikes, it's got even better battery density and that kind of thing, so you can get faster charge, you can get more power for longer. And the factories he's building, like the battery factories and stuff, are just insane. Like, they're on a scale that's like something out of Factorio, you know. It's just mega scale stuff. So yeah, when the Tesla truck does finally come out, I can't wait to see it, in all honesty, because I want to see if it delivers. Pun intended. I want to see if it delivers on its promises. Wait, was I? There it is. It's right against that fence though, you see it? It's right against that fence. I think what we'll do is I'll turn around and we'll back in the other way. I don't see a mechanic anywhere. We can have a quick look if there's one down the road, but it kind of looks like this is in the middle of nowhere to me. We shall see. What time is it? 3:28 AM. The sun's going to be up shortly. Should. It's a little bit off, but it should be about right. There we go. Okay, disconnect. Funny enough, it has no problem disconnecting the trailer. It just has a problem attaching to it. Right, long distance bonus kicking in again, urgent bonus kicking in again, and the maneuvering bonus, that's good. It takes us a little bit more towards level 10, brings another 6.5 grand into the coffers. Let's have a quick look at the world map and see where we are. Oh yeah, we're absolutely nowhere near. I'll tell you what, let's have a little... Let's do a little bit of bobtailing. We don't normally do this on Trucking Diaries EU, do we? Let's do a little bit of bobtailing and go down the road. Hopefully the sun will be out by then. We'll just quickly jump into a mechanic and see how much it would cost to upgrade the engine on this thing. I don't know what time the sun rises in the game. Have you guys tried the new sat-nav voice? I think if you go to options, what is it now? Options audio, enable voice navigation, and then there's a bunch of default ones you can get, and there are some mods which I have tried. There's a bunch of mods. We can try, for example, that. Let's preview.
Caution. Please watch the speed limit.
Keep right.
I actually I actually don't like the default ones too much, but if you go to the Steam Workshop, there's some funny ones like Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is quite funny. There's some dreadful ones like GLaDOS. GLaDOS is just absolutely rubbish. Like, it doesn't even sound like GLaDOS. But the Schwarzenegger one's fun. But somebody's done like a Google sat-nav voice, and that one's not bad. It's probably the kind of most easy one to get along with, I think. If it goes to the workshop, and I think you click on voice navigation, and it'll show you a bunch of them. And then there's like some, you know, some guy in his bedroom's done one of a wizard, which is just, yeah. Probably the less said about that, the better. This truck feels a little bit unstable as well. It's really bouncy. Maybe I've got my stability setting down too low. So yeah, the Google one's not bad if you want to give that a whirl. But I guess some people, I mean, the thing is that voice navigation has been asked of in this game for years, like absolutely years, and they've finally put it in. And I have considered making my own, as in record my voice and make my own mod. And I may well do that, I don't know. I don't think it's that hard. I think there's just like a bunch of files that you have to create and then kind of zip it up. Maybe do a manifest, I don't know. I'd have to look at it. If I get some free time, I'll have a look at what's involved. But yeah, I might just do one. Although the problem is I don't fancy myself as my own sat-nav voice, if that makes sense. That would freak me out. But you guys maybe would like my voice as a sat-nav, but I wouldn't. Of course, the question then is what kind of style to do it in, because, you know, you could do it I could just do it in my voice, just my plain voice. I could do it in some posh British voice, say, or you could try to be funny with it and do it in a comedic way. There's all kinds of ways of doing it. The problem with the comedy version, I think, it's like the John Cleese voice pack for TomTom. I don't know if you ever tried that. It kind of sounds like it should be brilliant, you know. Oh, John Cleese doing my voice pack. Oh my god, that's brilliant. But after a while, and I mean not that long, I remember buying it for my TomTom years ago, and after like a few days I turned it off.
Keep right, and then turn right.
Because when you've heard the same kind of... The first time you hear him say something funny, it's funny. The second time you giggle, the third time you start to giggle a little bit less, and so on, until eventually you're just like, that's just not funny anymore, is it?
Turn right.
Because after I've heard the same thing 20 times about turning at the roundabout, I just don't find it funny anymore. And that's the problem with doing humour. I think that if you do a sat-nav voice, maybe it's better to just give directions. Don't try to be funny, just give directions. So I think
turn left.
That would be the direction I would go in, I think. It didn't stop then, right, let's dip the lights. I wonder why those wipers are not working. They actually work from the outside. Nope, they don't work in or out. Unless, of course, I've just unmapped the controls somehow, which could happen. It's possible on 135 the control got unmapped, maybe. It'd be weird. Yeah, you can see the sky starting to get a bit lighter.
Go straight on, and then turn right.
Do I really want to give money to the mechanic to upgrade a truck which has no wipers on it? Let's see how much it costs, and then I'll try and find an updated mod of this.
Turn right.
Turn right?
You have arrived at your destination. Your route guidance is now finished.
He speaks a little bit quickly, but he's probably the easiest to listen to out of the bunch, I think. Let's see, truck configurator. So, engine... 13 grand, 320. Blimey, I actually get something pretty potent. Go all the way up to a 410 and only pay 10 grand. That's very, very tempting. And how much would a transmission? What have we got? 12 speed with a retarder. Got a whole bunch of 12 speed with different retarders, just different ratios and stuff. The differentials. The problem with this is, like, it's hard to know which one is going to work for you. You have to commit the cash and then find out later. That's the only annoying thing. certainly that engine, 17 grand, is very tempting. However, what I'll do is I won't make the decision now. I'll see if I can upgrade the mod first so we've actually got a fully working truck before we do it. Because 17 grand out of 55 is a significant amount of money. And it does mean that we pay our loan off later. Which is something I'd rather avoid if possible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little journey. That's it for this episode of Trucking Diaries. Take care, guys. Happy trucking.